It's not easy to express disappointment in a team that's already achieved this much. But, that's how I feel right about now. It's disappointment in one specific area. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer up daily shots of Steelers and Pirates, where you found this. The team was off yesterday, and you would think there would have been no news. But the news that did come, and it was early in the morning, was unwelcome, at least on this end. Radim Zohorna and Drew O'Connor were sent back to Wilkes-Barre Scranton. And parenthetically, this doesn't matter at all, but Mark Friedman was sent down there with him on a conditioning assignment. He just needs to play. There's a rule now that allows a player to go down there without having to clear waivers just to make sure that he can stay active. Good rule, by the way. But Zohorna and O'Connor were ready, as I'd made the point in yesterday's show, to make a contribution here. They were ready to at least get a chance. I can see O'Connor, after the collapsed lung out on the West Coast, may be benefiting from getting a handful of games in the AHL. I don't see sending Zohorna back. I don't see not making any changes to this bottom six. Not in this setting, not in this circumstance. We're talking about a lineup that really needs a swift kick in the rear end. If you want to just get short-term about it, if you just want to focus on how the lineups looked over the last couple of games in Toronto and then in the home loss to the Hurricanes, if that's the only thing you were focused on, it'd be worthwhile seeing some different faces. But extrapolate that. Think about what kind of benefit would come to this organization overall by having even one player, come up from the AHL and make an impact, and make enough of an impact that they earn at least consideration to be part of your Stanley Cup playoff roster. One player is all that would take. And it's not as if this head coach doesn't have precedent for that. Mike Sullivan was also behind the bench when a bunch of Wilkes-Barre kids came up in 2016. Brian Rust, Scott Wilson, Tom Kuhnhackl, Connor Sheary, all of them except Wilson, who got hurt, made an impact toward a championship. A championship. Imagine if they hadn't gotten the chance. In 2017, Jake Gensel came up. Gensel was a kid. Gensel scored right away. Gensel ended up being a pretty significant contributor to that team, and that team was the follow-up of a championship team. Should have been an even harder roster to crack. Jake got a chance. Jake made the most of it. Wouldn't have done that. Wouldn't have been able to do that if not for the chance. This portion of Daily Shot of Penguins is brought to you by the good people at the Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank, where they're committed to providing food for all of our neighbors in need across Western Pennsylvania. They, in turn, need your help. Find out how $1 can be turned into 5 full meals for those in need. Visit pittsburghfoodbank.org. None of this makes sense. It doesn't even make sense if you start getting into roster technicalities. Because now, in pandemic times, teams are allowed to carry around extra players. That's the whole taxi squad rule. There's a reason that Zohorna and O'Connor and others have been just kind of hanging around. Because they can. And yet, they're denied entry into this apparently exclusive club. I mean, I don't know how else to look at it. An exclusive club of players with 0, 1, 2 goals on the whole season. How is Zach Aston Reese keeping anybody out of the lineup right now? Just answer that one alone. How is Zach Aston Reese keeping not just Zahorna and O'Connor, but how about Alex Nylander, who's been dynamite for Wilkes-Barre? How about Valtteri Puustinen, who's been the leading scorer down there? You know what? Maybe those guys stink. Maybe they'll be in over their heads with a promotion to the NHL. Maybe. I don't think so, but maybe. And if so, big whoop. Send them back. Try them out for 2 weeks. See what you got. These games aren't that important. They're just not. I know they feel like that, especially when the Penguins are lined up against a contender, like what we saw in these past two. But the standings point very, very convincingly toward this team qualifying for the tournament. They're going to get in. Let's see some of these other players. And while I'm at it, why not attempt something similar on the blue line? I know. All 6 guys have stayed healthy for months now, knock on wood, and all 6 are indispensable and can't be touched and everything else. But what if P.O. Joseph got a chance, like the one he got early last season, really turned some heads, looked like he'd never go back down? What if that happened? Maybe that is the kind of thing that Ron Hextall could use to his benefit in setting up a trade possibility. No one anywhere pays more for their defensemen than the Penguins do. That's not an opinion, that's a fact. It's a very, very expensive group, and it's part of the reason that they have the cap issues that they do. If Joseph comes up and Joseph performs, Joseph will be doing so at league minimum. That's something that could help at the deadline. It's something that could help beyond. But we don't know. We don't know because he's not getting a chance either. I just don't like this. And I especially don't like it because of its direct contrast with actions and approaches that this same head coach took toward winning back-to-back Stanley Cups. He knows better because he's experienced better. When we come back, just one question. Welcome back. It's time for Just One Question that's brought to you always on this program by Fubo TV. The monthly cost of cable is over $200. Fubo TV is $65 a month to watch all the same channels, including AT&T Sportsnet Pittsburgh. And right now, Fubo TV is offering our listeners of this show a 7-day free trial and 15% off your first month. Just go to FuboTV.com/DK. FuboTV.com/DK. Today's J1Q comes from Kevin, who says, taking my daughter to a Penguins game next month. She'll be almost 7 months old then. Any tips for a first-time dad taking an infant to a game? This will be her first sporting event and my first Penguins game since March 2020. Well, Kevin, I'm going to presume that you're doing this so that you can watch the game. It's okay to say so, my man. She's not going to retain a whole heck of a lot at that age. But yes, I can offer a couple of tips for you and for anyone who takes young children or even infants to games. The first is be very aware that the place is very loud. This has nothing to do with the crowd or the cheering or the chanting or even the dreaded wooing. It has everything to do with how loud They will blast the music. This can be unsettling to children. I know because I've seen it with my own. Now, I wouldn't know what to do with a 7-month-old in that setting because they're not about to wear a set of headphones, but maybe it's something that you'll want to be cognizant of as you head in there, that there's some kind of way to make sure that nobody's getting excessively startled. The second one is to make yourself aware in advance of where PPG Paints Arena has family restrooms and places that you can take a child, whether it's for changing, whether it's for feeding, whatever the case. If you go to the Penguins website or go to PPG Paints Arena's website, which is a separate thing, and look up the fan guide online, they have A to Z type questionnaires, all of that type of information, including first aid and anything else, is printed there very neatly and very easy to use. The third one, and I would hope that I'd never have to advise anyone about this, that it would just be common sense, so don't take this as an insult or anything, but just as crossing all of the T's and dotting all of the I's. Please watch your child, regardless of age, when it comes to warm-ups and shoot-arounds, much more so than the game itself. Everyone's paying attention to the puck when the game is going on, not so much beforehand. And that's when you see fans just kind of walking around and la-di-dying. And yes, I know there's netting up now, but that netting doesn't go the whole way around the rink. And even what is there doesn't always keep deflected shots inside the rink area. Take it from someone who once got pelted at the Civic Arena in my left eye. I was just standing near a concourse talking to one of my editors at the Post-Gazette. And the next thing I knew, boom, just below the left eye. I got lucky there, right on the socket. Gave it a deep bruise, a little bit of a crack, not anything super serious, but at least a little bit scary in terms of what could have happened. Take care of the kid. Take care of the kid is what I have to say to you without taking it too far and advising you to just leave the child at home. I appreciate the question, especially the different kind of question. Those are okay too. I appreciate everyone listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We'll do another one tomorrow.